All right, this was 11 hours ago. This article came out 11 hours ago. Don't need those on. Says COVID bill includes 180-day countdown for Pentagon to make UFO disclosures. COVID bill includes 180-day countdown for UFO disclosures. Written by Josh Marcus for The Independent. It says attached to the 5,593 page, it's a big bill, omnibus bill, coronavirus relief bill, President signed on Sunday is an unexpected proposition, a request for the Pentagon to brief Congress and all it knows about an unidentified flying objects within 180 days. Though not in the text of the law itself, a comment from the Senate Intelligence Committee attached to a portion of the package funding intelligence operations asks the Director of National Intelligence to consult with other top defense officials and spy chiefs to submit a report on unidentified aerial phenomena, otherwise known as UAP, the government target for UFOs within 6 months. The briefing will cover observed airborne objects that have not been identified and feature detailed analysis of unidentified phenomena, data collected by A. Geospatial intelligence, B. Signals intelligence, C. Human intelligence, and D. Measurement and signals intelligence, according to the request. Going to open this link up here. It goes to Fox News. I'll check that out in a second. A Defense Department spokesperson told the New York Post, which reported on the news, I'm going to open up that one as well, that it was aware of the request. We are aware of the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence Committee report on the Intelligence Authorization Act for fiscal year 2021 included a requirement for the Director of National Intelligence in consultation with the Secretary of Defense to submit a report on unidentified aerial phenomena within 180 days of enactment. Might as well put some backing music on while I'm reading. Though it is not law, former officials said the request was a new high watermark when it comes to the government publicly exploring the existence of UAPs. It's now fair to say that the request for an unclassified report on the UAP phenomenon enjoys the support of both parties in both members of Congress, a phrase uttered by one Christopher Mellon, former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence, former staff director for the United States Senate Intelligence Committee. He worked for these committees during the Clinton administrations and George W. Bush administration. So this is definitely a Washington insider, a stalwart Washington insider, an establishment goon, if you will. He told this to The Debrief, a science and defense news site. Assuming the executive branch honors this important request, the nation will at long last have an objective basis for assessing the validity of the issue and its national security implications. This is an extraordinary and long overdue opportunity. Wow, that's big. That's a big deal, guys, for fucking UFO crap to be tagged on to a COVID funding bill. We'll go check out the NY Post. COVID-19 bill started a 180-day countdown for UFO disclosures. This news breaking today is going to be everywhere on the alternative medias and the UFO media, the fringe medias this coming week, next week. I would expect you're going to be hearing a lot about this. President Trump's signature on Sunday on the $2.3 trillion COVID-19 relief and government funding bill started a 180-day countdown for the Pentagon and spy agencies to say what they know about UFOs. The provision received very little attention, in part because it wasn't included in the text of the 5,593-page legislation, but as a committee comment attached to the annual Intelligence Authorization Act, which was rolled into the massive bill. The Senate Intelligence Committee, chaired by Senator Marco Rubio, said in the comment that it directs the Director of National Intelligence in a consultation with the Secretary of Defense and the heads of such other agencies to submit a report within 180 days of the date of enactment of the Act to the Congressional Intelligence and Armed Services Committee on unidentified aerial phenomena. This actually just also makes me realize that the time frame of 6 months puts it squarely into the Biden administration. So we don't really know what's going on here, but it looks like they're foisting disclosure into the Biden administration. The report must address observed airborne objects that have not been identified and should include, as we've read previously in the last article, detailed analysis of unidentified phenomena, data collected by A, geospatial, B, signals, C, human, and D, measurement and signals intelligences. The report must no, this is an additional that we didn't see in the last report. The last article, that is. The report must also contain a detailed analysis of data of the FBI, which was derived from investigations of intrusions of unidentified aerial phenomena data over restricted United States airspace. You should realize at this point that bringing the FBI into this means that we will have over 60 years of data collected by the FBI as regards the UFO phenomena. They have been investigating this for decades. They have a huge trove of data, I imagine, and it will be interesting to see if any of this trove of historical data will be looked over as well, or if only the report that we get here in 6 months or something will only include very recent stuff. Let me. I just got a funny text. I got a cute text. Let me see here. The report. Let me read that again. The report must also contain detailed analysis of data of the FBI, which was derived from investigations of intrusions of unidentified aerial phenomena data over restricted United States airspace, and an assessment of whether this identified aerial phenomena activity may be attributed to one or more foreign adversaries. This particular comment right there may be attributed to one or more foreign adversaries directly reflects comments that Marco Rubio has made in the past about UFO stuff. I think he was actually cited right here. Senator Marco Rubio, a Florida Republican who chairs the Intel Committee who made the request, told Miami CBS affiliate in July that he was concerned that unidentified aerial phenomena could be connected to some technological leap, quote unquote, from U.S. adversaries like China or Russia. Okay. Former Pentagon and legislative officials confirmed Tuesday to the publication of the debrief that the package begins the clock on UFO disclosures. I have no idea what Marco Polo is, other than a game that you play in a swimming pool with friends. Defense Department spokesperson Sue Van Gogh, who sadly cut one of her ears off and mailed it to a lover, told the Post, "We are aware that the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence Committee report on the Intelligence Authorization Act," I have no idea what I just said, "for fiscal year 2021 included a requirement for the Director of National Intelligence in consultation with the Secretary of Defense to submit a report on unidentified." So she's basically affirming that the shit is real, that there is such a request, it actually exists. Spokespeople for Rubio, who pushed for more UFO transparency, did not respond to the Post's multiple requests for comment. The push for more information follows the Pentagon's April publication of 3 Navy videos showing unidentified objects. I don't know if you guys remember this, but from last year. And in the spring, the videos of the Tic Tac UFO, the big white Tic Tac UFO, seen flying against the wind just above the ocean, came out and was everywhere. It made big buzz. I actually met the guy who was flying the plane that took that footage, Commander David Fravor of the Black Aces. I met him in Oregon here and drank a beer with him after listening to his lecture. It was super cool. He's a super cool dude. He was flying that plane that chased that Tic Tac UFO around. He flew maneuvers trying to capture this plane. You should like go if you haven't listened to David Fravor's discussion of what he encountered in airspace off of California, you really ought to go and check it out. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, met that guy, and he it was his one and only appearance, like in-person speech lecture that he's going to be doing on the subject. He does not like the interest. He doesn't like the attention. He doesn't like people calling him a kook. No. Remember, he was the commander of a flying armed squadron whose duty was to protect the west coast of the United States. Generally, not a job given to your average kook, is it? I don't think so. Chris Mellon, former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence, told the debrief. This is again Christopher Mellon, the deep state dude who worked at both Clinton and George W. Bush's intelligence administrations. Super real deep state. The type of people who keep their positions between administrations because ultimately, in some levels of intelligence and national security, left and right matter less than consistent leadership in intelligence circles. Deep state leadership. Christopher Mellon, former deputy, told the debrief that the newly enacted Intelligence Authorization Act incorporates the Senate Intelligence Committee's report language, calling for an unclassified all-source report on the UFP phenomenon. This was accomplished by the joint explanatory statement accompanying the bill. Consequently, it's now fair to say that the request for an unclassified report, we read this in the last article, enjoys support of both houses in Congress. Mellon added, here we go, this is a line that we didn't read yet. Mellon added, I'm hopeful the new administration will rigorously execute its oversight prerogatives, because the concerns of the public and numerous U.S. military personnel have been ignored by a complacent national security bureaucracy for far too long. So we got a deep state guy whose literal job it was in the past when he worked in the intelligence committees of both Clinton and George W. Bush administrations to conceal and protect information from leaking out. That was his job, his responsibility and duty. He's now coming out and decrying the cover-up of the intelligence committee or the lack of investigation of the intelligence committee that he used to work for. It's the type of man who likes to have his cake and eat it too. Indeed. Indeed. Talks out of both sides of his mouth. Yes, it's been ignored by a complacent national security bureaucracy for far too long. Yes, indeed, Mr. Mellon. Thank you. Nick Pope, who ran the UFO office for UK's Ministry of Defense, told the Post, I welcome this move, which shows how seriously the phenomenon is being taken by the intelligence community. We all remember Nick Pope. We've probably seen him in if we've watched any Ancient Aliens episodes or anything like that. This dude is he's a perennial interviewer on UFO stuff. Pope said that the Pentagon's Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force is probably already drafting the report for the DNI to send to the Senate Intelligence Committee. Questions remain about what the report will say and how much can ever be made public. Given the highly classified nature of some of the material, let's see that again. Questions remain about what the report will say and how much can ever be made public, given the highly classified nature of some of the material. But this is a step in the right direction. Trump, as commander-in-chief, has brushed off questions about UFOs and possible alien life. He's said in the past, I am not a believer. I am not a believer, but, I guess anything's possible, he said in an interview last year. I'm not a believer, but, I guess anything's possible. Fox News article, referenced by the previous one. Will I get the COVID vaccine? I don't know. I suppose we'll cross that bridge when we get there, won't we? President Trump's signature Sunday on the $2.3 trillion COVID-19 relief and government funding bill started a 180-day countdown for the Pentagon and spy agencies to say what they know about UFOs. this article called Coronavirus Bill started 188 countdown for UFO disclosures. Same article title as the New York Post article. This is by Stephen Greenstreet, Stephen Nelson. Two Steves. Thanks, Steves. This is also just a reprint of the New York Post article, so we're not going to read it. Basically, just we've already done that. All right. So that's crazy. What have we learned from this? We've learned that the Senate Intelligence Committee, which is currently headed up by Marco Rubio, has basically instructed the Biden administration to at least create and submit a report to Congress that contains, it must address, that's not important, doesn't necessarily have to contain, but it must address observed airborne objects that haven't been identified and should include the data collected by geospatial, signals, human, and measurements. So that's the most interesting part of the language for me, is that it is actually instructing for specific intelligence definitions and classifications to be included in the report. I like that. That's the most important, I think, material coming out of that. And the other important takeaway from this, I think, is that the guy who is continuously quoted about this and who seems to be interviewed all over the place about it is Christopher Mellon. And this dude, by all appearances, appears to be a deep state dude. A deep state dude who would have been intimately familiar with a lot of this type of data in his original positions as being the deputy director of national intelligence. He would have been briefed on this material during his career at some point back during the Clinton administration. So this dude's been sitting on these quotes for the past, 20 years? Suddenly he comes out acting like he's the big hero for disclosure, having it both ways. So, on one hand, I'm interested in the subject. On the other hand, this fucking snake's got his comments all over it already. Makes me think it just might be another extension of his previous career. There's often, in the intelligence world, there's often a phrase that once you are a part of the intelligence world, you never retire. You don't retire from intelligence. You never retire from intelligence. You're always an agent in some aspect until you're dead. So I don't know. That's really interesting. We'll see. And I thank you very much, She's a Keeper, for bringing that to my attention. Can't believe it escaped. The radar. My radar sweep failed to pick that one up. Did not get a bing. Did not get a hit. So thank you for picking that up